Kia ora koutou. Richard's going to advise for the karakia this morning.
Okay. Tuia ki runga, tua ki raro, tua ki roto, tua ki waho, tua tātou te tangata, I te kaupapa o te hui nei, I te kaupapa o te rangi nei, Māori ora, ia tātou katoa.
Thank you. Just before we start, I want to acknowledge the sad passing of Tony Thomas, who I think probably everybody would know and had quite a lot of dealings with. I certainly did over many years on various roles. So maybe if we can stand for a moment's silence. So apologies. Well, we haven't got any, I don't think, that I'm aware of. So we're okay for that. We've got a few people coming in on Zoom. We've got Brent. Welcome, Brent. And Paul was there as well, I think. Or might be.
Yep, I'm here. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Brent. So nobody for public forum scheduled. So any interest that people want to declare in relation to items on this agenda? Campbell.
Just noting I've still got the conflict of interest with Hockey Nelson and with Tim not here today. If there's any further discussion, I'm not sure how that will suit for quorum. So just thought I'd note that.
Okay. Do you know whether Tim's turning up or not? No, okay. We tentatively put in an apology. He might be just a bit late. Okay. Late items, just announcement maybe at the end of the meeting. There's a report that kind of missed the agenda shut off to do with the aerial at Saxton Field. So there's copies that will be available to have a look at it at the end of the meeting and take away, read. And if not sure quite whether that can wait till the next meeting, if there's a need to have a meeting earlier, then we'll call a special meeting on that. So we'll keep you posted. Stuff will keep you posted on that. So we've got 2 lots of minutes to confirm. Welcome, Tim. We have the meeting from the 14th of June, which related to that was the hearing meeting. So we should do the May one first. No, the order in the agenda is the June one, so we'll go with that. It's the minutes of the meeting of the Saxton Field hearing panel. We're considering submissions on the amendment, proposed amendment to the student management plan. I just want to I think Paul Harrington spoke at that meeting, so perhaps he needs to be added to people in attendance. So I only just picked that up yesterday. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's reference to him speaking not by name, but by his position on the second page. So we should. So with that amendment, do I have a?
Nelson did those minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so yeah, all right. Thank you. That'd be great. So with that amendment, would somebody like to move that was true and correct? Tim? Campbell first moved it, seconded Tim. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. And the second lot relates to our last regular meeting on the 17th of May. Everybody happy with how they've been recorded? Would you like to move? Joe, seconded. Campbell? All those in favour, please say aye. All right. Against, carried. Okay, thank you for that. Right, the main business today is the report, how things have been going. So Rob's going to lead on this, I gather. So over to you, Rob, if you want to kind of updates that might have come through since the agenda was put together?
I think there are a few. Well, thank you, Derek. First up, I would like to acknowledge the kind help of my colleagues of Nelson City Council in putting this report together. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Paul. And thank you, Andrew. And I think thank you, Hannah. If I missed anyone. Brilliant. Item 3.3 on the report, it says Richmond Ward councillors. I would like to correct to whole council. And happy to take the report as read and invite questions. I know we've got some questions.
They got questions, Rob, on that? I was in the North Island 6 weeks ago or whatever, and we took the opportunity to go to Hamilton and went and visited the thing. So if we've got time later, I've got some photos that we might be able to work out a way of projecting them on the screen with a bit of assistance. So I can show you that. I was pretty impressed. We got there kind of late afternoon, sort of just twilight. So, but there was still a lot of people at the facility and using it, all sorts of people too. So it was quite impressive to see what they had. So I can show, if anyone's interested, there's some photos that I took. So next one, do you want to?
So I understand we've got a question from Councillor Rollo about the basketball hoops. If I'm jumping about a bit, anybody give me a steer, please. Asking, I'd like to raise at the meeting on Tuesday the basketball hoop upgrade and reason why we would expect funding from basketball. And
Yeah, correct. Obviously I sent the staff through and gave the councillors a heads up that I wanted to raise it in terms of mainly around 3.9, where it says basketball will not be asked to pay a portion of the cost given the hoops are provided to benefit all stadium users and the stadium contractor. Now, my thinking around that was the stadium users would be the basketball players themselves who would be using them, and just wanted to know, have we actually considered seeking some funding from Nelson Basketball towards them?
I've got a response here from colleagues saying charging a club or organisation for part of an upgrade or renewal is usually done when the assets are requested by the code and largely benefiting the group. Where there are a range of users or a wider public benefit, we're less likely to charge the required contribution. In this instance, the replacement is driven by damage to the flooring rather than demand from the code and mainly benefits the Nelson City Council facility. I think one of my other colleagues from Nelson City also added to that these hoops are coming to the end of their asset life. Is that right, Carl?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of work for us to do on that. So I don't have a clear indication of end of life, but yeah, as we just mentioned, the driver for this was really around increasing the efficiency of the hoops kind of going in and out and yeah, really reducing that damage to the flooring. The code currently hasn't approached us to upgrade the hoops. So it's a conversation we need to have and yeah, take on board your feedback and happy to progress that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to tell you how to do your job in any way, but I would certainly appreciate if we could have a conversation with Nelson Basketball or whoever the code is that utilizes them the most to simply see actually this is where we've got to, and we've got an issue with the flooring, want to upgrade them and see what their conversation is in terms of coming to the party with some sort of funding. I think it's in the climate we're in, it's quite unfair to put that sort of cost directly onto the ratepayer, noting that all ratepayers will get benefit of it.
And just to add one more point to that, Jane might correct me if I'm wrong, we are quite early stages still around the feasibility of putting them on the walls. We needed a little more engineering work to be done and costings and things like that. So yes, coming with a year, that money's actually in there, but there's a fair bit of time between now and that upgrade going ahead. 26, 27. Yeah, thanks.
Just before I go to Brent, did you have anything to add, Jane, to that?
No, that's sort of that's everything covered. Yep, we can take that feedback on board and chat to Nelson Basketball about how to, whether funding is possible.
Brent, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. So if I heard Rob right, he's just taken the whole report as read, because I've got a few questions through it, or we're going to go item by item through it. But on the basketball hoop,
I'll go back to cover those. Sure.
Okay, but on the basketball hoops, I guess to start with. So thanks, Campbell, for sending that through. So they were donated to the stadium as part of the basketball's contribution in the setup of Saxton Stadium. So I take it they sat as an asset on NCC's books. So we must have been depreciating these. So is there a depreciation replacement cost sitting in some account somewhere? Because the asset was, I think around, it must have, and it was in excess of $200,000, if not $300,000 to buy those originally. I think they were about $30,000 a piece. So has council been depreciating them? Is there a replacement fund there for them? And my memory or recollection was it was basketball's contribution to the stadium in the initial parts. So that's the basketball question. And I've frozen.
On to that at this point.
So yes, Nelson City Council did end up owning those. I'd have to double check the details around the figures that you mentioned. I struggled to find any details of the sort of transaction or what the value of that donation was, but I believe you're correct that it was a donation of the kind of equipment rather than a financial donation to the stadium build. The only other transaction we've kind of had since then is around a contribution towards stadium clocks. The depreciation, that's probably a little bit technical, but I'm not 100% sure how that would work if they'd paid for them and donated them to us, whether we did the depreciation or not. But I can dig that out and come back to you with that question during the week.
Any further discussion on that? Thanks for your question, Brent. It's a good question, I think. And I think the whole issue is a good one to have some further discussion on as well. Oh. In the interest of kind of fairness to all the codes that contribute, I think it is a good question to have a bit more information on.
For one more. So if there is I'm not a basketball player, I'm not quite tall enough, Rob, but if basketball were to, you want to have a game down there, do you pay to use the basketball hoops, or are they already set up and you just simply pay for the court fees?
Can you answer that, Cuff, please?
I guess in a clearer terms, is someone actually paying to use the hoops, or do they just pay to use the court?
Yeah, it'd be a court hire charge, but excuse me, part of that cost is involving the hoops have to be put out and put away. So there's part of that cost of the court hire. I don't have the specifics in front of me of what it might cost to hire a court versus with the hoops or not. I don't know if we can, but yeah, we can come back to you with those fees and charges, or I can pretty quickly look them up in the short time we have, and yeah, put them on the screen. I'll get back to you in a minute.
We seem to have lost Brent temporarily. Okay. Well. So, sorry, I missed a question that I had on the inclusive playground thing. We've got a map with 3 options for siting with some pros and cons of those. I just wondering what's the process is from here on, Rob. Can you outline that briefly? Grant?
So, yes, we've got that diagram attached to the back of the report. So the next step would be to touch base with the stakeholders. I think we've got some contact details, haven't we, from the LTP process on that.
On the playground?
Yeah.
Yes, we have a list of stakeholders that we met a couple of times prior to the LTP being developed, that were a group of interested people in Nelson representing the community that would be using the playground. And we've passed them on to you, and we're happy to carry on meeting with
We've
them.
got quite a fair bit of feedback. I just need to delve back into that, and I will very shortly.
Joe, you have a question?
Thank you. Are we going to include the schools, Waimea College Special Needs Unit and the Maito School in that group giving feedback, because they may have not been included in the first lot?
Thanks, Joe. I'll make a note of that. Get onto it.
Any other questions on 3.4, 3.6 in relation to the inclusive programs? If not, with the entrance development, do you have an update on that, Rob, from the hui that happened in July? Just that you can provide?
Just taking notes, Derek.
Okay. Do you have an update on that hui that was talking about the entrance, or anybody else who might have been at the
My
meeting?
colleagues at Nelson City may be able to add to this, but the hui was held at Te Ohutoi Ahurea to discuss the project. The group was interested in iwi history of the site and understanding the stories of the area to help guide decisions on whether a Toi Maori entrance is appropriate. Further information can be provided.
Any update, Jane or Carl?
Sorry, I was actually just trying to find the basketball court fees. What was the question?
okay.
Would you be able to repeat the question?
Were either you at that?
There,
that hui? Did you have any update?
in relation to the entrance artwork, there was another iwi hui, but it was iwi only hui in July, and the minutes haven't yet come out. I'll be getting them later this week,
Okay.
and so I can circulate what the next steps are after that in relation to iwi's interest in the site.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else on that one? We've probably covered the stadium renewals, oil drainage and surface renewal. Any questions on that, or any comments you want to, any things you want to highlight, Rob or Grant?
No, I don't
Everybody's
think
good
I've
with
got it. No, getting a shake there. Thank you.
Sand storage. I must say the rifle people will be very happy about that driveway being sealed. So well done. General development. Any questions in that section? 313 to and 14. And just is it possible to have a bit more elaboration on from somebody on the hockey fencing? There was some reference. Is there a gap in the fence at the moment, which is what it needs to be looked at as?
Thank you. Through the chair, there's a couple of issues with the fencing. One is that sometimes balls get over the fences. And so we're working with hockey to put some higher sections of fencing behind the goals to prevent that getting over the fences. There's been a couple of times where they've hit cars parked. And then the other is around the bottom of the fencing, there's some bits that have lifted up and need to be repaired.
They are being repaired as of the moment. So contractors out there at the moment should be completed by the end of this week.
So it's your first meeting?
Yeah,
that's yeah,
my
welcome.
first meeting. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for being here, and for the people that don't know me yet, the new contract supervisor facilities, so what Mitch used to do.
Yeah. Cool. I'll have word to you later. With a different hat on. Okay, and the bollards, any what was the issue with those?
Thank you. The bollards, we've had a few incidents, and it talks about it later about vehicles getting onto fields, and we just want to investigate whether there's anywhere that we should be putting bollards or some other form of prevention to stop cars getting onto the grass.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, Joe. Yep.
Back to the hockey fencing and things. I just wanted to check other instances more. I mean, I've had my car hit by a hockey ball before, but it's a kind of a given that it may happen. So I'm just curious as to why, because all of that's been in place for quite a long time, and there has been signage there in the past. So is it, I'm just trying to work out, the cost benefit analysis here. Is it worth spending a lot of money on this fencing for the occasional thing, or is it happening more often?
Thank you. Hockey hasn't reported it's happening more often. They've said it's sort of constant, the incidents they have where balls go over the fence. The difference, I suppose, is that we've now got another pathway near there So there'll be, as well as cars parked there, there'll be more people moving through the area. That path on the Saxton Stadium side of hockey, a new concrete pathway there. And as well as that, they do have fencing there already. We just think it needs to be lifted slightly in behind the goals. So it's not a full fence around the whole area, it's just in little sections. And the fencing tired anyway, those little sections. So it will be a shared cost with hockey for that upgrade.
Nothing else on that issue? Okay. And the third bullet point, I presume, relates to the kind of issue of speeding through the main roads and stuff that you're looking to address.
Yes, thank you. We haven't yet met with the traffic safety assessors to get input on what changes might be needed, but we want to make sure that we've got some money there if we need any physical work.
Okay. And I'm presuming that the depths of Avery Field will be at that kind of southeast corner. Is that kind of where it seems to be where the steepest?
Yeah, there's a steep bank coming off the new cycleway that we put in last year down onto the playing surface. And we certainly had one report of somebody tripping on that or sliding down it, twisting their ankle.
Which is mostly on the page 6. Any questions, comments on that? Campbell.
Just wanted to clarify where, excuse me, where it's, I'm just reading it over again to make sure my question is correct. Yeah, it says here about investigating works to determine the most suitable site. So does that mean Circus Green is no longer the preferred option, or are we exploring other options throughout the complex to work out where the skate park could be?
I can probably answer that one. Kia ora, everyone. No, they are investigating the Circus Green. I guess the way that's worded, it really just means working to make sure that that is going to be suitable there. So there's a bit of ground investigation been underway, and yeah, that's the main aspect of it. They haven't been looking anywhere else at this point.
Thanks, Paul. No further questions or comments on that? Saxon culvert upgrade? Any questions, comments on that?
I'll just add one detail to that. If you've driven here along Main Road Stoke, you might have noticed there is a little bit of work happening next to the culvert. So that has been part of the kind of overall plan for the area. So yeah, that's, I think, what we call the final sort of part of that puzzle is between what they're doing there, which is just a small loop section, I guess it is, which allows you to be able to view the artwork on the head wall. And then, as it says in the report, the other sort of final tidy up is the area towards archery, which we'll look at returning to grass. And over the sort of medium term, we have got an initial kind of idea of what the space could look like. But you'll look at developing that into a pathway and sort of greener open space to be used rather than the current dumping ground yard that it is at the moment.
Thanks. So, if not, future projects? Any update on that at all, Rob? In terms of what went through the LTP, it was pretty much as recommended from the committee, or was there a few movements?
Any updates, colleagues from Nelson, on the turf renewal?
No updates from me on the turf renewal. We have since met in relation to 3.21. We've met with the Sandpit Incorporated group, but their interests are now not Saxton Field and more towards Tahuna. So it's less of an interest of the committee.
Okay, thanks. So in terms of the timing for any renewals, then we await this condition report. See whether there needs to be some changes. Okay, thank you. Netball roofing, anything on that? Operation?
No, nothing.
Right. No? Okay. Operator? Are you back into the meeting, Brent?
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to keep the camera off, and then it might freeze out on me again.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Sorry. So you indicated you had a number of questions. So what? Maybe have them now.
You're just about to. Okay, so through the chair, you're just about to get to it. So 4.7.
Okay. All right.
I'm just interested in where it was reported, how it was investigated, and have council investigated. It's vague in terms of what happened in terms of the road and the accident on the 22nd of June.
Can anybody respond to that? Rob, thank you.
I don't know much about the accident that happened on the 22nd of June. I couldn't find anything reported in the press about it. What I've got here are excerpts from an email that we got from Netball Nelson reporting on that. So that really is the extent of what I know about that.
So just through the chair, what I'm interested in is there was a significant accident. If there is an accident at Saxton Field, where does it get reported to? Where do the codes report these things?
Netball sent emails around, or an email, I think, because I was copied in on that. So it went to staff. I can't remember the exact date of when that was, but yeah.
One would imagine there would be some police involvement as appropriate, surely.
Yeah, there was no reference that I recall. It's not in there about whether it was reported to police.
I think this happened outside of the actual Saxton complex, out on the Saxton Road. Not wishing to split hairs.
Oh, okay. Yep. Did you have a question?
That makes a difference. So my question is, sorry. So my question is, what I've got that is, council as a PCBU, if there's an accident that's significant on Saxton Field, what is the reporting mechanism so that council are aware with it? If it happened out in the road, I'm okay with that. But going forward, what is the mechanism for council to be aware of a significant accident on Saxton Field?
Might be able to answer that just through the chair. So we had an incident, I think it was last year, where a child was injured, and essentially it's reported to both councils' health and safety teams, and logged in each of our health and safety systems, and then the appropriate investigations are carried out. So it is a coordinated process, and in the case that I'm talking about, the outcome was favourable. So yeah, there were no concerns raised.
Does that cover your question, Brent? Yeah, cool.
Thank you. Yes.
Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Maybe not totally related to this, but sort of around that kind of area. That area is particularly dangerous, especially on a Saturday when the netball is on, both inside Saxton Field, where we've got a lot of vehicles parking on the grass. There's, it really impacts kids coming out from behind cars. Like, it really is an issue. But that Saxton Road, I realise, is not a Saxton problem, but has it been flagged with Nelson City Council's roading to have a look at that particular area? Because it's, it's a shocker.
Yes, as we mentioned slightly earlier, around those sort of bollards, traffic calming, and this incident, both councils are talking to our traffic teams. We just haven't had that information back yet and reviewed it. So yes, I would say there's not a clear reporting process for that accident on a road to come through both councils. We inevitably hear about it. But yeah, the process is that we're both talking to our traffic teams, and we'll come back and either at our next catch up or beforehand, we'll discuss the findings from both council or the recommendations from both teams and see what we can come up with, and then report back to this committee.
Thanks, Carl. Campbell?
Yeah, thanks. And Tim and I were on a hearing panel the other day when we agreed to put some yellow lines on, I think, Kingsford Drive, just across from Saxton Field, noting that the residents had flag some concern, in particular on weekends when there's sport going on. And noting there in 4.7 where it says that the on-street parking on Saxton Road East between Kerry Marshall and Saxton Way needs to be reduced. Within our development plan, have we actually got any further scope for increasing car parking within the facility, noting that there seems, in particular on weekends now, there's more and more people there. Cars parking on the grass obviously isn't good for the fields. Is there actually anywhere we can look at increasing or having offset car park for when there is big events taking place out there?
Thank you.
Jane.
In the development plan itself, not really close to netball, but when Harakeke Green is developed, there'd be further car parking developed as part of that there. But other than that, on the development plan, there's no new car parking areas. Oh, except a tidy up of the parking that's already at Circus Green, which is not well laid out and could be improved.
Yeah, is there any sort of scope that the staff can have a good look around to see if there is any areas? It seems to be, I've been out there a few Saturdays recently, and it looks like a railway station at peak hour with people, running through car parks and that and all that. And I really wouldn't want to be hearing a story of someone hurt in the facility because of cars. And so if we can look for parking wherever it may be in the facility, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, we'll know that probably for our next discussion with you guys at a sort of officer level. But yeah, I guess it's just that old balance of open space versus car parking and trying to make some informed decisions and maybe getting some more expertise, because whether increasing car parking is going to help with those situations or increase the traffic coming into Saxton Field. So I think it needs, a fair bit of thought if we are looking to make those sort of changes. Definitely be interested to see what our own traffic guys understand. And I wasn't aware of the Kingsford Drive one, so we'll loop in with them and see what thought process they've already had in that space.
But just as the example that I would see is if we are looking at a skating park going in the Circus Green, that whole area by, in particular, the netball and Saxton Road, I'd suspect is going to have a whole lot more traffic coming and going. And our park cars, people, skateboards, and cars going left, right. It just doesn't seem like a good mix in the blender at the end of the day.
I would just add something I've been talking about sort of on our side of the fence, not so much with TDC at this stage, but is potentially trying to get some sort of, I don't know what you call it, heat mapping or some sort of exercise to understand when people are at Saxton Field and at what times. And for things like that with skateboarding is then understanding, do they contribute to that same impact on a Saturday morning? Are they more likely to be there at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon? So yeah, it's a wider understanding we need to sort of address those sorts of things. And if that skate park goes ahead and there's further development of the car parking there, whether that benefits or has a negative impact on Saturday morning sport. So yeah, take on board your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's good. Rob, do you have any additional comments for any of the points under winter sports, 4.8 to 4.12 at all? Stage?
No, I don't know if somebody wants to raise questions about the, again, netball Nelson and the flooring at the indoor netball courts and the resulting court closures. I don't know if somebody wants to add something to that and the rescheduling of games. That's not the basketball hoops causing that damage, is it? It is.
Yep. Yeah. We'll probably stretch that one around as much.
Yeah. So there we are. Oh yeah. Just reading. Okay. To see. So sorry about that.
All right. So on to contract section. So I just want to welcome these two gentlemen here from CLN. So would you like to introduce yourselves? Just on the last meeting that there was a process in place. So welcome.
Kia ora. I'm known to a few people here because I also manage the Richmond and Richmond Aquatic Centre. My name is Vaughan Hope, and this is.
Good everyone. My name is Mark. Both Vaughan and I have been with CLM for a little while now. I'm currently the manager of Trafalgar Centre, Trafalgar Park, so the venues contract that that CLM also has. We will soon, we have been through the recruitment process. So we have appointed a facility manager who we look forward to introducing everyone to. So he'll be here for the future ones. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions of these two fine gentlemen? Presumably your recruited person will be based out this way. Yeah, in the office. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you, Mark and Vaughan. How's it changed over been going all right? I mean, I understand these things take a little bit of work and effort, but going well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been, I guess we've only been in the building a week now.
Okay.
But we've had some, you know, I understand there has been some nervousness about it, which, you know, we can understand where that's come from. But the first week has been great, and we've been working really closely with the codes. Obviously, we're in the peak of the winter sports season there. So we've been working closely with the volleyball, netball and basketball, who are those key users at this time of year. And the feedback that we've had so far has been really good. So Vaughan and I did a bit of work before we got in the building just to start building those relationships with those codes. So we don't come in on day one fresh to meet them. We'd already done a bit of the groundwork in the background, which was really worthwhile and great. Vaughan also had a bit of a relationship through CLM being a sponsor of some of those organisations as well. So, you know, that just helped that transition. Some of the feedback has been around how clean it is at the moment, which has been fantastic, which we've, which has been good, something that we really pride ourselves on. And yeah, so far so good, and we're open to any feedback from anyone, especially those codes and users and anyone else on the performance as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brent, do you have a question?
Actually, Tim asked my question, but great to see you there. Sorry I couldn't be with you. I'd be sitting right next to you, Vaughan, if I was in the chamber. So you look good in council, mate. Maybe later in the day. But no, Tim asked my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
So through the chair, Derek. So while we're here and we're on the contract, I'd just like to acknowledge Sue Cole, who's been and introduce Sue Cole, who's been our acting team leader of facilities while Emily has been on maternity leave. So Sue has really led the procurement of that contract, which was a really long and complex process. So yeah, just want to acknowledge and introduce her today.
Welcome, Sue. And any comments you want to make?
Thank you for that. It definitely was a long process, but we worked really closely with everybody, and I think it went really well.
Thank you. So over the page, a bit more about the contract moment. Any questions on any of those items, 415 to 418? Comments, no questions. The next bit, the website. Any comments, questions on that?
I have something, I don't know if it's relevant, but there's still some inaccuracies and dated information on the websites for Basketball Nelson and Sport Tasman. The showing fees and charges, and that they are the contact for it. So we just need to get those things tidied up.
Transition stuff, yeah, cool.
Question, Derek.
Campbell.
On the website, is that done through the contractor, or does council oversee that, the website?
So the new Saxton Field website, that's done by Nelson City Council. Yeah, so CLM will have their own website with details on it, and I'm assuming there'll be a link on the. I actually looked at the Nelson City Council Saxton Field website to CLM for those bookings and things that need to go through them for.
Sure, and so just some feedback, I guess, that I've had is sporting codes aren't always the best at giving feedback in the best, the politest manner, should I say. I can speak from my time working with sporting clubs. Is there any way when we're out for consultation, that we can have a link on that website that directs them to the Shape Nelson website? Because I know if we tell sporting clubs to go to the Saxton website, they will. Where if we're sending them to Shape Nelson and all these other places, they're often going to just not submit. And so is there a way that when we are having consultation, we can have that going through the Saxton website?
Yeah, we can talk to, so Stu Dalton from our events team has a lot to do with that website, so we can chat to Stu about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Brent, do you have a question? And then Tim.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Derek. I'm just interested in the quantum. So it says 100% increase in venues, 90% in sports. What's those the numbers? Is that 1,000 to 2,000, 500 to 1,000? What are the numbers?
Sorry, Stu couldn't make it today, or Amy from our events team. I couldn't tell you, unfortunately. I can find out though, and we can get back to you with what the actual numbers are.
Email's great.
Yeah, happy to.
What other members are interested in that too? Maybe the emails could go. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Okay, anything else on the website? Oh, Tim, sorry. Yep.
I think I'll take opportunity while Mark and Vaughan are here. For bookings, etc., I had one of the codes saying, "Oh, this is in regards," because I appreciate great work you do at Trafalgar Park and Trafalgar Centre, as you know, and they made a query about, "Oh, we can't work out what's booked and what's not booked," and I said it should be a fairly straightforward contact as you do CLM or council or so forth. That's still the case, and will that be a similar case to the Saxton here?
Yeah. I mean, the booking process will be the same. But I guess the difference with this one, which we've already started looking into, is obviously there's the ability for codes and users to be able to go on to that Saxton Field website through Priava, the booking system, so they can actually see through there.
They can sort of see before they make inquiries, say, "Oh,
they can see the availability." Yep. So before, but then we also would love people to contact us as well as going to that website as well. So, building that relationship with people as opposed to it just being transactionary through the website. We'd love to be talking to them, but the process is that they can see it's available, essentially make an inquiry through the website, and then that comes through to us to action.
I'll just like to make a comment. I've always been incredibly appreciative of CLM over years with how well and professionally they've run Saxton and Trafalgar Centre and Trafalgar Park, but also like to thank Sport Tasman, who've done in my years on council, done an incredible job at Saxton Stadium, and incredibly appreciate them, and also incredibly appreciative of Vaughan and his team, who've done an incredible job at Trafalgar Park, Trafalgar Centre, because I know it's a tough gig. When you've got public vying for access or understanding how it all works, but all the best. But also like to take this opportunity to thank Sport Tasman for years that they were put in.
Good. Thanks, Tim. That's a very appropriate comment to make because they have done a good job. Okay. Next was the Radio New Zealand mask issue, which I covered at the start of the meeting. So there'll be copies of a report available to take away at the end if you want to have a read. And
Derek, through the chair, can I just add there that just a reminder that that's a confidential item?
Yes, thanks, Paul. That's a good point. Yep. Okay, the activity management plan and long-term plan. Any questions on any of that? Like the difference with the in 4.22 between the two councils. So I don't know quite whether it has implications for probably time frames for netball, is it?
Thank you. We haven't yet met with netball to talk more about it, but if they can get the required fundraising themselves, they should be able to do the feasibility study regardless.
Okay, the alcohol advertising. Most people are probably aware of that process and the outcome, I would think. Thanks to my fellow committee members for their time on that, and the Tasman subs did a good job, so thank you. Lighting? Anything on the suburbs lighting in terms of Champion Green? No. Still more information to come.
Pretty sure I've received an email about Nelson's suburbs. I think it is replacing the luminaires on their number one pitch, and I think they've just got a design on that. Just came through the email yesterday or the day before. But certainly no update on the Champion Green or any more discussion on that.
Okay, all good on that. Avery Field. Probably already covered that with the comments on steps. Anything on the hockey? We've probably covered that as well because it's the fence extension that James covered. So there's a list of events there coming up. Any comments, queries about any of those? Onto the last page. There's a comment there about Park Run. I heard that there was a group looking to set that up and looking at possibilities. So any update on that, Carl?
Yeah, thanks. I just had an update from our events team this morning. So they are still looking at alternate routes as well. So they had looked at the Maitai sort of river trail, which I think they've ruled out. I'm not sure why. They're also looking at Neil Park. So I guess Saxton's still on the preferred list at this stage, but no decision's been made, no sort of finalised details. So again, we'll just report back when we know more.
Thank you. I would think maybe in time there'd be two options, at least if there's one out this way and one more in the Nelson area, just knowing how these things have grown around the country. So
yeah, they may end up having both of those as a run in the future. I think just one other thing to add that I did get updated this morning, which probably doesn't squeeze in quite there, but with events, Te Matatini is obviously coming to Nelson in 2027, I think it is. So I've just heard from Stu this morning, a decision's going to be made in December with an announcement in February around the final location. So they are still looking between Saxton Field and Trafalgar Park, I believe. So wait to hear more on that in the future.
meetings down for 5th of November. Does that still work for everybody? Cool. Okay. So I guess we can probably close the meeting, and if there's an opportunity to have informal discussion with CLN, anybody wants to do that, and I'll see if we can get these photos up if people want to have a look at some of those. So unless there's any other questions. No, we haven't. Good point. Thanks for the reminder. We need to do that. So somebody would like to move and second the activity report? Tim and Joe, thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Cheers, sometimes forgets these procedural things. I'm out of practice, obviously. All right, any further discussion on anything? If not, all those in favour of the report being received, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Close the meeting. Yeah, I think we'll close. That's all right.
Closing
Yes, I was just going to ask Richard if he could close that as well. Oh, you were so good at the first one.
Kia hiki ti ke roiro, kia wātia ki mama ti manawa o te tangata. Ki uki ti ara mo tātou I ore nei, ko rongo ki runga, kia tina, hui e, tā ki e.
Thank you for your attendance and contributions.